Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM 92.7, coming to you live from our studio here at Adisawe in Accra. My name is Martin Aseidu. Dartey. Coming up for the next 30 minutes, 7 Mazano SHS students reportedly in critical condition after being run over by a minibus during a float in the region. I'll give you details of this story shortly. As 189 people lost their lives in July this year to road accidents, more than 30% increase compared to that of last year. And later in the bulletin, Majority Chief Whip Frank Anodompre denies accusations that he orchestrated the destruction of billboards belonging to the NPP flag-bearer hopeful Kennedy Ejapong in his constituency. Is that really the case? Meanwhile, the governing New Patriotic Party is outlining final modalities for the upcoming Superdelegates election slated for Saturday, August 26th. There's and many more coming up for the next 30 minutes. Stay with us. My name is Martin Aseidu. Let's settle for the details of our stories now. And we are starting from that unfortunate development of news coming in, which indicate that 7 Mozano Senior High School students in the Gomoa Central District of the Central Region are currently in critical condition at the Agona Swedro Government Hospital after being run over by a Hyundai Urban with the registration number GW992 during a float. According to sources, the 7 students joined the float organized by Nananom and residents of Gomoa Ashiem as part of the celebration of their annual Akwambo Festival, and in the process of the float, the vehicle failed its brakes and abruptly ran over the students. 3FM has gathered that 2 out of the 7 students are in critical condition and actually are on life support. The driver of the Hyundai Urban has since been arrested by the Agona Abodom District Police Commander for further investigations. We'll be connecting with our correspondent to update us shortly on what exactly must have led to this and what the situation is regarding the condition of the students. Away from that to some other related stories now, and the Lands Commission, among other things, is saying that it's preparing to digitize its operations to reduce human interactions in their service. Responding to a UN report about corruption in the Commission, the Executive Secretary of the Commission, Surveyor James Dodson, says this will reduce bribery and inefficiencies in its operations. He has been addressing the media about what exactly the plans are and when they will be rolling this out.
On drugs and crime, 2001, where we have placed 4 as a public sector where corruption is most prevalent. Then recently, so we, on the average, we are the first in terms of average bribe size in Ghana, and one of your colleagues has given us the actual figure. We at the Commission, we've not stepped over this, and services, the whole country, various sectors of the economy are undergoing transitions spearheaded by the Vice President of Ghana.
And you heard the voice of a commissioner with the Lands Commission giving indications of their preparedness, where they are indicating that they will soon be digitizing the land acquisition and land processing system to avoid inefficiencies and human interactions. Let's go on to some other stories now. And worrying details from the latest survey by the Motor Traffic and Transport Department, MTTD, indicates that up to 189 persons lost their lives in the month of July alone to motor accidents in the country. The number signifies a 30% rise in deaths as compared to the number for last year and the same month. The month also recorded a lot more road accidents, with the crashes rising by some 4.31%. So to walk us through the data, which is the 1,233 crashes were recorded involving some 2,000 and 99 vehicles, with 186 people losing their lives, leaving 1,328 persons injured. That is in 2023. Reported crashes include vehicles involved, persons who were killed, the persons involved.
It is something that as Ghana, we don't want to be recording, especially when we have been recording some reductions on month-on-month basis for the past 17 months. July statistics that have just come in, which shows this increase. Preliminary, we are now doing our investigation to find out what really caused this surge in the traffic cases. But from preliminary investigations, as in just looking around, you will see that in July we started having a lot of the rain, and rains come with poor visibility. So this can be attributed for some of the crashes that we recorded. And when there's decreased visibility and you don't drive at very low speed, you end up having some crashes that are very, very avoidable. Apart from that, we all know some of the defects on our infrastructure, especially these traffic lights that have been coming up of late, where we have a lot of our traffic lights not working. So all these have contributed to this increase that we have recorded. But then, if you go on the for January to July, you realize that we are still recording a decrease of about 11% for the same for the same period in 2020.
Okay, is your data able to clearly state which of the accidents were caused by human error and then which ones were mechanical, either traffic light or probably the vehicle? Are you able to distinguish between maybe the driver was sleeping or the driver was over speeding that led to? Are you able to have those differences in the data?
At this time, no. As I said, it's only preliminary investigations that we've done as of now. But a detailed investigation is what will reveal these details that you are asking. And we are in the process of doing that, and when that comes out, you will know specifically which type of crashes that gave into this increase. So for now, it's just the pedestrian scale and those ones that we have, and we also have the regional breakdowns, and then we can also have the commercial private. Those are the preliminary ones that we have now. But in due course, we would have the detailed one. That is where we would if you want to go to, let's say, if you want to take the regions, we have some regions that recorded increases,
right,
in their increase and then.
Okay.
So regions like Ashanti region, which had an increase of about 19%. Upper East had an increase of 50%. Sometimes when you use the percentages, you feel the elements are high, but let me use the absolute figures rather. Ashanti region had an increase of 5. Upper East had an increase of 1.
Right.
Eastern region had an increase of 16.
Okay. Since you're saying that the fine details will be made available after a few more investigations, yes, we'll just have to hold on to that and then come back to you subsequently for it. But thank you for your time, Henry Asumeni, who is the head of Public Investment and Business Development Unit and National Road Safety Authority. Let's take a quick trip to the Ashanti region now, where the case involving 3 military officers and 3 civilians is in court for their alleged involvement in an attempted robbery operation that has, we are told, has actually been adjourned to the 26th of September. The prosecution requested for a month to enable them conduct further investigations and secure phone call conversations of the suspects. The officers and their civilian counterparts were arrested on the 5th of July at Ibuakwa in Kumasi in the Ashanti region. The arrest, according to police sources, followed a tip-off. The 6 accused persons appeared before the Atisamanso court in early hours of today. The lawyer Evans Amankwa is also standing brief for the complainant and has been speaking to journalists after today's proceedings.
The case involves so many phone technicalities and technology which the accused person, the suspected accused person, used in trying to execute their agenda. So if for the police to be able to, or the prosecution to be able to establish the veracity or otherwise of their charges, they have to go through those things. And as a lawyer for the complainant, or lawyer who is watching brief for the complainant, we are happy the step the police are taking, the prosecution is taking in arriving at the veracity or otherwise of the complaint against the accused persons. We believe that at the end of the day, the case will be able to establish the truth in this whole matter.
And that is the lawyer Evans Amankwa, who was speaking to journalists moments after the proceedings today. Evans, I beg your pardon, my colleague Ibrahim Abubakar, who was in court, has joined us for a chat on this. Ibrahim, good afternoon. Thank you for your time. What was the atmosphere like when the hearing was called today?
Well, Martin, the court was very, very calm because already the suspect had been granted bail in their earlier appearance in court, so they came on their own. And earlier, the last time they came in the custody of the police and the military, so the court was full. But this time around, very, very calm. They came and they were called into the docket. The prosecutor called on the judge to adjourn it because they wanted to file an ex parte application so that it will enable them secure the call logs of the suspects. They said that one also helped in the investigation. So that one was granted. So tomorrow the prosecution will come to the court but without the suspects. Then the main or the substantive case has been adjourned to September 26, like you rightly said, because the prosecution was enough time to be able to gather more evidences and also other particulars that they need. But earlier, the judge was angry with the prosecution because this is the second time they are requesting for an adjournment for even the disclosure. And she doesn't seem to understand why it will have to take this long time. And so for that matter, she even cautioned the prosecutor that if they continue it this way, and for the fourth or fifth time, then she will be left with no option than to strike out the case. Because for now, the suspects are saying their plea is not guilty, and they are waiting for the next agenda so that the case will continue.
All right, Ibrahim, thank you for that update from the courts in the Ashanti region. Ibrahim Abubakar is our Ashanti regional correspondent. To some other news now, and South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has condemned the Niger coup, expressing his country's intention to repatriate some 23 nationals from Niger as the coup looms. He said his country is working with the African Union to stabilize coup-ridden countries on the continent while speaking ahead of the 15th BRICS summit in Johannesburg, the capital of South Africa. Let's listen to Cyril Ramaphosa on his thoughts on the Niger coup.
The vibrant trading Africa we seek to build depends on Africa being stable and peaceful. For our continent Africa to thrive, we must silence the guns. We continue to work within the African Union to end several ongoing conflicts on the continent and restore constitutional and democratic government to countries that have recently experienced coups. South Africa is directly involved in a number of efforts to bring peace to Africa. We are currently involved in supporting the people of Mozambique and the Democratic Republic of Congo to ensure that there is peace and stability in their countries. The administration that I have the honor to lead has been devoted to attracting greater trade and investment into South Africa. Every visit we make to countries on our continent and across the world, and every visit by heads of state from other countries focuses on strengthening economic ties between our country and those countries.
All right, and so that's the voice of South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, who was speaking ahead of the 15th BRICS summit. Now, the BRICS is spelled BRICS, which is a combination of a number of countries that have decided to work together to build an economic grouping together. Many are already saying that that is actually meant to rival the G7. So it is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and then South Africa. They make up the BRICS countries. But the conversation really is focusing on the position of what the South African president has said regarding the coup in Niger. Let's engage the thoughts of Mutaru Mumuni Mukhtar, who is the executive director of the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism. He's joined us on phone for a quick chat regarding what has played out in the last few weeks as regards what ECOWAS intends to do with the coup in Niger and what the response of the Nigerian coup leaders at the junta is saying. They are saying that, well, they are agreeing now somewhat to the position to cede power to a civilian leader. However, they'll need 3 years to do that. Mr. Mutaru Mumuni Mukhtar, good afternoon and thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Hello, good afternoon. And good afternoon to your listeners.
Right, to start with, what are your immediate thoughts on the position of the coup leaders saying that we agreed to hand over power or return the country to democratic rule? However, we need 3 years to undertake that kind of exercise.
Well, for me, this is a situation of good news in terms of the willingness of the coup leaders to speak and to negotiate with ECOWAS. It represents some way of hope in terms of diplomacy, the chance of diplomacy in ensuring that we resolve the situation in Niger without, the role of military intervention. And so if you listen to, or if you've been following what has happened in the last 3-4 occasions, in terms of the coups that have happened, on all these occasions, the leaders have come out with a plan that's spending between 3 to 4 years in terms of when they intend to return the country to civilian rule. And so this is not very different. But for me, it's important that at the moment, they have communicated their willingness to return the country to civilian rule after they have met with the ECOWAS following the several attempts that have failed in terms of meeting with the leadership. So for me, I think that is a huge opportunity in terms of the chance for the diplomacy, and we need to expand that window of diplomacy to ensure that we deploy the best of strategies and negotiation skills and the capacity of ECOWAS to deal with the situation, address the situation, while avoiding military intervention.
Right, and maybe a follow-up to that would be, we know that Mali, for instance, when they undertook the coup, ECOWAS engaged them, they drew up some kind of a timetable on when exactly they could return the country back to civilian rule. Same for Guinea, but as we speak, probably 2 years on, nothing like that has happened. What kind of assurance should we expect, or should ECOWAS expect from the Niger leaders that well and truly they will be able to return the country to civilian rule?
All of those things would depend on the goodwill and efforts from both ends in terms of how we work together to transition the country to civilian rule. What is the timetable like, and what are the operational objectives for having that timeline to transition the country back to civilian rule? The most important thing at the moment is to be able to build goodwill and legitimacy as actors between ECOWAS in one bloc and the military leadership in place, so that ECOWAS would be able to work with them through the process, ensuring that all the ingredients that are needed to have credible, legitimate elections at the end of the 3-year period are in place to conduct that kind of exercise to usher in a new civilian rule. We will have to be very, very modest in terms of our expectations of these kinds of situations all over the continent, especially in West Africa. we do not have the fundamentals in terms of the infrastructure that is needed for a smooth and seamless transition to take place. Even in countries like Ghana that are deemed as stable democratic countries, it doesn't take a year or two to lay a foundation for credible and free and fair elections. Look at our own situation. It doesn't point to that reality. And so it is, over ambitious for us to expect Niger to be able to conduct, legitimate elections within a year or two. So 3 years is a very, good time for all the actors to engage, all the stakeholders to engage with the realities on the ground and ensure that the country is transitioned to civilian rule at the end of the 3-year period.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time and thoughts as always. Mutaro Mumuni Mukhtar is the Executive Director, Africa, the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism there. You're still listening to 3FM 92.7. This is the Midday News. Let's do some politics now. The Majority Chief Whip Frank Anodompre is fighting off claims that he orchestrated the destruction of billboards belonging to the NPP flag bearer hopeful Kennedy Japong in the Nsawam constituency. Reacting to the report at a press conference, the Nsawam Aduejiri MP says that the accusations are blatant falsehoods targeted at denigrating his image. With less than 6 days to go for the NPP Superdelegates Conference, the MP says that the campaign team of the controversial lawmaker should focus on substance and not lies.
I was in the US when I heard about this supposed I have destroyed his billboard, and I was alarmed. So I made a few calls because, as you know, such metal works often is managed by the city authorities, the MC and co. So I made a number of calls, first to my chairman, who gave up the story. Then later on, I got the story corroborated by the MC. The long and short of it all is that there is an advertising company called Kobe Creative Limited. And I have all their details here. You can reference them and so Kobe Creative Limited tells me, and it's the same story my chairman told me, that they were alarmed and suddenly saw Mr. Kennedy Japong's artwork on their metalwork. And they realized that he had not reached out to them. And so they did what they had to do by taking it off. So I dug deeper, and it came out that there is a certain Eric who lives in the US, who is a fan of Mr. Kennedy Japong. So he wished to do something for him. And he is related to a guy called Reki. This Reki guy lives in Insaon. Apparently this metalwork is 9 by 6 meters. It's huge. And it's quite the opposite, it's located quite the opposite of GCB in Insaon. So the Reki guy was looking for the owner of the metalwork. Apparently he got a guy called Augustine. This Augustine guy came out to say that, well, he owns the metal. And it turned out to be false. So they paid some amount of money to Augustine. So Augustine gave them the go-ahead to put the artwork on the metal work.
And so that's the voice of Anodompre, Frank Anodompre, who is the majority chief whip, I should say, and then also the MP for Nsawam Aduejiri, sharing his position on accusations against him that he has supervised the destruction of Kennedy Japong's billboards in his constituency, which he says are totally untrue. So that's the explanation from his side. You're still listening to 3FM 92.7. Staying on the party, though, and the build-up to this weekend's all-important national delegate, super delegates conference, I should say. We know that they are holding a press conference today to outline the modalities and preparations towards the Saturday, August 26th event. So let's speak to our correspondent who is sitting through that press conference, Eric Maana Egbeta, to give us a hint of what exactly the party has been saying. Maana, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Has the press conference begun? What is the NPP saying?
Martin, so we're still waiting for the leadership of the party to come around and address chairman. As we know that this weekend, the super delegates conference of the party is expected. to take place. It will be the first time in the party's history since that particular event will take place. And so it's all preparations. In the lead up to that special delegate conference, there's been statements and commentary alive, particularly from the region as well in relation to the contest this weekend. And so the committee in charge of the elections, they are expected to address the final modalities as to exactly what it is that has been put in place in preparation towards the elections for this weekend. And so we're still firmed up, quite heavy-duty vehicles, not heavy-duty, but vehicles that are quite accustomed to the top brass in terms of politics, all here, just ready and waiting really for when it is that will come around to spell out the details.
Okay, thank you very much, Eric Bawenagbeta, with that update from the NPP press conference, which is yet to start, although they said it was going to start at 11. So when they do start, whatever it is they will say, we will bring it to you on our subsequent bulletins. Now to some very, very exciting news that is coming from the stables of Media General. Our very own Pakwesi Asare has won the BBC's Komla Dumont Award for the very first time, and this is the first time a Ghanaian is chalking this feat. So TV3 and 3FM's Pakwesi Asare is the first Ghanaian winner of the BBC Komla Dumont Award, the BBC World News has announced. In a statement issued by the British news outfit, it says that the News 360 presenter impressed its panel of judges with the quality of journalism as well as his ability to grasp complex subjects and explain them clearly. Let's listen to Christian Yali, who has put this report together. Unfortunately, we are unable to bring you that report. But then clearly, if you go to our website, 3news.com, you would get details of all that has been ongoing here at the Media General. Lots of congratulatory messages coming in to Pakwesi Asare, who has chalked a major feat, also indicating that whatever you set your mind to achieve, you definitely can achieve if you continue to believe. And from the entire team, we wish Pakwesi Asare a very big congratulations for chalking this feat. It comes on the back of several attempts and other awards that this media institution has churned out. A number of journalists have won several awards, and this actually comes as the icing on the cake for the 2023 year. We know that even here in Ghana, TV3's Portia Gabao is the current reigning journalist of the year, and that has actually added on to what we already have here in our stables. So from the entire team, we want to say a big congrats to Pakwesi Asare, who is now the BBC's Komla Dumont Award winner, first Ghanaian to do so in the last 4 or 5 years since this award has been ongoing. A number of other African countries have won it, but primarily the backstory of the award is to name one journalist from the continent who has been exemplary in their work, who would now come to the BBC for 3 months, and then based on how things play out, they could stay on to work and then also go to an African country to churn out a number of stories for the BBC. And Pakwesi Asare, our very own, is the one who has been given the mantle this year. And again, big congratulations from all of us here at Media General, the news crew, the news team, the newsroom. We say big congratulations to Pakwesi Asare. And that's how we bring the bulletin to an end. Thank you very much for listening. Our website, 3news.com, has details of the stories we brought to you and several others. You have a good afternoon, and as always, stay positive. Up next is the latest in the world of business.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily. Coming up, government treasury bills undersubscribed by 513 million cedis as interest rate on treasury market soars to about 31%. Also, Data Protection Commission hints at a second round of enforcement this year over various breaches in data privacy rights. Thanks for staying. I am Bismark, Awusah. To our very first story, interest rate on the treasury market has soared to about 31% as government's T-bills auction takes a downturn from the previous week's results. Government's treasury bills auction saw an undersubscription of about 13%, with interest rate on the 364-day bill inching up to about 31%. Bids tendered for the 182-day bill exceeded that of the 91-day bill for the first time in several years. Government accepted all bids that were tendered and at the end of the auction realized 3.45 billion cedis, although it targeted an amount of 3.96 billion cedis, a significant difference of about 13%. Yields on the 91-day bill increased to 26.7%. The 182-day bill also rose to 27.88%, from the 27.59% recorded the previous week. The 364-day bill also soared to 31.08% from 30.69% recorded previously. Meanwhile, lead researcher at GCB Capital, Karij says the undersubscription is still a win for government, comparing the amount realized to government refinancing obligations.
Relative to what the refinancing obligation for the week is, what they raise, the bids and what they raise is more than the refinancing obligation for the week by about $1 billion, really. So it's not a failed transaction. It's a successful transaction relative to the refinancing obligation. When you relate it to what the issuance target was, then that is where the issue lies. It is just that the target is way higher than what the market has come to expect in recent weeks, and that probably is accounting for that subscription. In the week ahead, I think they are trying to raise about 3.05 billion from the auction ahead. We could clear that target at the next auction, really, all things being equal. But it may mean that yields will continue going higher and higher, as we've seen in recent times.
And that was research lead at GCB Capital, Karij Boti. To some other story, Data Protection Commission has hinted at a second round of enforcement this year over various breaches in data privacy rights. A recent exercise saw the arrest of companies such as Hisense Group Limited, Morocco Fast Foods, among others, with a lot under the radar. Data protection expert and CEO of Information Governance Solutions, Silva Pia, is cautioning data controllers to make data protection requirements a priority to avoid losing money.
No business can exist without people's data, and therefore, for controllers, I will urge all of them to contact us or reach out and register with the Commission and start the journey of compliance. Data protection professionals globally is a shortage. And so what we are doing in Ghana in conjunction with the Commission is that we offer what we call the Certified Data Protection Supervisor. And this is a person that every organization must appoint to lead and advise the organization on their compliance journey. And so we offer the practitioner training to organizations. This is a course that has been certified by the Data Protection Commission. We are an accredited organization by them, which means they have tested that, they've assessed that, and they know we have the resources, the expertise, the knowledge, and the tools to hold the hand of data controllers to do this.
Remember, this is still Business Daily with me, Bismark, Awusah. Now, as food inflation continues to push Ghana's inflation, prices of imported rice have more than doubled in the last 2 years. Could local rice be a game changer? 3 businesses Shadrach Isirifi explores the alternatives available to consumers.
Rice consumption has surpassed maize and cassava, making it a staple in Ghana. In 2022, rice import was the third highest on Ghana's import list after refined petroleum and cars, costing the country a whopping $552 million. Prices of rice have more than doubled since 2020, with India's decision to cut exports of its rice by 40%. There are concerns that consumers may bear the brunt.
India banning exportation of rice. Thailand is also going to follow suit, same as Singapore and Malaysia. And then deliberately, Russia is bombarding the food that has to be exported. What I'm seeing, if we don't take any measure to increase the production locally, we are going to face a lot of food shortages because the imported food will be very expensive and the local ones will not be there. And therefore, those who don't have money could not buy.
Already, local traders are beginning to feel the heat of this development.
Beginning of the year, 50 kg rice, some was like 500 cedis, but now it's 650, some is 700 cedis and plus. 25 kilos too, we had rice that was 210, 250, but now they are all above 300 cedis.
Our sales have reduced drastically because rice is very expensive.
This has become a major concern for many consumers.
Last time I 75 and number was 89.
The rice I bought for 75 cedis the last time is now 89 cedis. I have to add more money.
We can't afford perfume rice now. We buy the low quality ones.
With the rising fears of further increases in prices of imported rice, could local rice be an alternative with respect to affordability and accessibility?
Cheaper, no, because what makes the rice expensive is still there. For example, last year there was minimum subsidy for fertilizer. And so the farmers had to get the rice themselves, and that pushed the price up. Moreover, we are not getting the yield that we should get from the farm.
While foreign options might offer initial cost savings, choosing local alternative contributes to our community's economic growth and food security. As such, there is a need to strike a balance between affordability and local support. Shadrach Esrefi, 3 Business, Accra.
And that was a report by my colleague Shadrach Esrefi. Now, before we go, the Ghana Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative has suggested Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, GNPC, be listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange. Co-chair of GATE, Dr. Steve Mantiao, observed listing GNPC on the Ghana Bears will come with accountability, transparency, and curb political interference in the national oil company. Eben Ejekum Boatin takes up the rest of the story.
According to Ghana Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, listing GNPC on the stock market will help improve its corporate governance structures. Co-chair of the initiative, Dr. Steve Mantiao, cited the success stories of GCB Bank, SIC, and GOIL following their listing on the Ghana Stock Exchange. Government at the time wanted to sell 70% stake in each entity to strategic foreign investors, but civil society organizations kicked against the move.
You achieve the benefit of being able to raise capital. You achieve transparency in the operations of the company. You achieve accountability. So that's how come the stock exchange usually is a preferred form of divesting government interest, because it gives you all the benefits that you would have gotten from a strategic investor without the corruption risk.
Dr. Steve Mantiao noted GNPC should be allowed to be independent, run as a business, and invest in the oil and gas value chain, and not restricted to the upstream petroleum sector.
You go to Malaysia, Petronas, the national oil company, is a major player in the petroleum sector, and they are producing oil, and the benefits, the returns on those investments are coming to Malaysia. So we expect that we increase our presence, because look, all over the world, countries that are actually making the most of their resources are not being spectators. They are investing in the exploitation of their own national resources, either by themselves or buying shares in the companies that are exploiting the resources. for those countries. GMPC can do the same if we capitalize it properly and insulate the company from political interference.
A report by my colleague Ebenezer Ejekumbuatin, ending Business Daily with me, Bismark Awusah. For more business news, please log on to 3news.com. Thanks for staying.